Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of OnPoint. With me are my co-hosts, Mr. Michael Patmore and Jimmy Eastman. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today is a dozier. I am telling you, it is hot, really hot. In Liberia, when we talk about politics, when we talk about economy, when we talk about personality, it's all into one today. It's a potpourri. You can pick. You have your choice. You can pick any topic, and we're going to discuss it today. But for the meantime, let's stick with what we have on screen. Mr. Eastman, welcome very well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you doing? I know the nation's capital is bustling. Tell me what's going on and your end of the world.
Hey, good evening, Michael and Jerome. It's always interesting being here with you, gentlemen. The nation capital is calm today, over some gray, gloomy skies, but the weather is still pleasurable. We got a lot going on. A lot of things happened this gone week to discuss, and we kind of wonder what kind of effect this will have going forward on the upcoming election, on the governing of the country. Do we see this as an inflection point? Will things begin to change? There's a lot of stuff in the air, and I think we got a lot to talk about today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Padmore. I know your glasses is missing today. I don't know if you're going to be able to see. I know the heat in Liberia is affecting
Uh-oh.
the ANC, and you can't see now, but it's all right. How are you doing? I know you're in Minnesota. There, how's everything going?
I'm doing pleasantly well, sir. I'm in little Liberia, and the weather out here is beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful day here in Monrovia, Liberia, Minnesota. And I'm glad to be with you guys. It should prove to be a spirited debate, and I'm up and ready for it.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, do us a favor. Please share, hit that share button. Share this show with your network, your friends. The show is usually divided into three segments: our introduction, our discussion, and then the time for our partisans, our friends, uh, admirers of the show to call in or send in their comments, and we read it out and respond. And if you can call, that's fine. The telephone number is right there, 605-313-6004. The code is 791403. You can call in and discuss with us. But tonight we are going to be on fire. I see Jimmy Eastman is ready with his fire suit. He's ready to go off. We have my brother over there. So we're going to go on here and discuss a few issues. Actually, the four main ones that are actually affecting us. One would be the sanctions and the subsequent suspension of the three accused government officials.
Accused.
The second one would be the welcoming of Honorable McGil in Bun County and Bill Twehway in Rivercess County. What does that say? And then number three, we are going to be talking about the illustrious entry of President Weah on his 17th district tour in Montserrat County. And Honorable Jimmy Eastman wants us to add on the selection of the new Supreme Court Chief Justice. It's a big one, female, well educated, grounded in Liberian law. We're going to discuss those four topics. I know whenever a woman is involved into anything for me, I am delighted to have women participate at that level. So it's an honor. So, Jimmy Eastman, let's get started here. Let's start with the sanction. What do you understand sanction to be? How does it affect people? Are there different kinds of sanction, individual sanction, corporate sanction, administrative sanction, or nation sanction? Talk to me.
Well, we all understand that sanctions are actions taken against a people. It could be against an individual. It could be against a country. It is designed to bring attention to their actions, to call it to order. And many people view it as punitive. It is designed to cause someone to align with certain policies and what you have you. Now, in news this week, we heard 3 top government officials were put on sanctions by the U.S. government, and they were in the persons of Minister of State Nathaniel McGil, Managing Director of the Port Authority, Bill Twehway, and the Solicitor General. Cephas. Yeah. Now, these are key members of the administration. Minister McGil is largely considered the chief of staff who runs the government through the President Weah. And for him to be sanctioned in this way, I think it's taking a direct aim at the running of Liberian government. It is definitely to bring to book certain things that the American government finds needs attention. I think that's the most important of all 3. With the managing director of the port, it's alleged that he's put money into his private accounts. And that the amount of money we're talking about can easily be tracked. As you know, it's not our, Liberia uses U.S. currency. And because of that, we don't have ownership of it. And it is always being tracked by the U.S. government for money laundering purposes and various other things. So you cannot hide that kind of money in the bank unless the U.S. will know about it some way or another. There have been other attempts to create shell companies to do that, but again, it will require an elaborate scheme. So, and lastly, the Solicitor General. I found that curious of all 3 because he being the legal arm for the government, and for him, of all 3 of those to be deemed corrupt and involving corruption, that puts the final stamp on it. And I think we need to take this seriously because it will have effect on our borrowing ability. It will have effect on our negotiations with other partners. It throws a stigma on the entire government. So these things need to be cleared up as soon as possible. But we're still waiting to see more comment on this. The president took some swift action by suspending these individuals. He's been called to do more, but from what I gather, there are more to come. Now, in another way, we might consider this meddling in our affairs because we are a sovereign nation. And by the U.S. government going this far and targeting key members, especially when there's an impending election next year, we think this may be some deep reaching into our affairs. At the same time, we find a lot of people welcome the decision because it appears that we have been taken advantage of by the powers that be. So personally, I think we definitely need to have stronger institutions. This shouldn't have to come from the U.S., but we have to have autonomous institutions that we can call to book anybody who is violating the law. There are many things that we look at that's not going right. We don't see people declaring their assets. We don't see. There's a lot of things that we see is not transparent enough. So this is good. This is in one way bringing light to certain things that are going on.
Great. Mr. Padmo, for those of us who have been talking about everything, for me, the executive is the least of my problem because they have a time limit. We can kick them out when their term ends. Like I have always said, my biggest concern in Liberia is the judiciary. If I'm wronged, or if I wrong Padmore, and Padmore cannot get legitimate redress in the court of law, it is more important because I think the judges are appointed for life, right?
65, I believe.
Yes, for life, your career, your life term.
Yeah, your career. Yeah, okay.
Right. So here we are. If President Weah offends me, I know within 14 months, I will have a say-so about whether he returns or not. But George Joman, the Supreme Court justices, all of these justices in our system, those are the ones who are there for life, no matter what you do. So for this sanction to have left out the judiciary, they have dealt with the legislative when they went for Prince Johnson and Vannie Sherman, and that's fine. They have gone for the executive, and that's fine. They went for private individual at one point on a Taylor, and that's fine. But to leave out the judiciary, which is the kingpin, the fulcrum on which our democracy is based, worries me, Mr. Padmore.
Well, thank you again for being here. I think you are jumping to conclusions. I don't believe that anybody has been left out. I believe it is a process. The process is ongoing. I believe there's more to come within the executive, within the legislature, as well as if there are any in the judiciary that will show as well. So I think we just need to be patient and let the list continue to roll out. And we will, in the end, we'll see who are on this list.
Okay, well, fair enough. Now let's go to the three individuals that were sanctioned. The ambassador, the United States, through the ambassador, made it clear. This is not a sanction on our country. Mm-hmm. It is not a sanction on the administration. It is not a sanction on a political party. It is individual sanction. These are people that they have some credible evidence that they are corrupt. So in this country, as well as in Liberia, we say we have a democratic system, jurisprudence, that you are innocent until proven guilty. Anything else, you can charge anybody with anything. So based on that, I know some of us are running around and jumping that, yes, we got sanction on folks, but there is, like you said, there is a process. I am sure the Republic of Liberia, in conjunction with the Embassy of Liberia and the Liberian will be asking the State Department to share the evidence if they are not classified information. For these folks to be either legally charged on the ground if the evidence is sufficient. So here we are. I'm on the website here of the State Department's website, and I went to the Magnitsky Act, their page.
Mm-hmm.
It's a government official's press statement. And it said August 15, 2022. And it reads thus: the United States is designating Liberian government officials, Nathaniel McGil, Minister of State for Presidential Affairs and Chief of Staff of the President, George Weah, Sema Serena Cephas, the Solicitor General and Chief Prosecutor. Somebody's there's an echo.
Yeah.
Sema, I think that's from Mr. Eastman.
Okay.
Mr. Eastman, mute.
Let me mute. I don't think so, but I will mute.
Mm-hmm. So it says Sema Serena Cephas, the Solicitor General and Chief Prosecutor of Liberia, and Bill Twehway, the Managing Director of the National Port Authority, for their involvement in ongoing public corruption in Liberia. The reason I'm reading these because when we are discussing, and thank God that our program here has some level-headed folks.
Yeah.
I do not like for folks to say what they heard from somebody. This is from the Manesky Act's own page.
Mm-hmm.
And it went on to say, these are the charges against McGil. It says here, McGil has used his position to undermine the integrity and independence of Liberia's democratic institutions and subvert government priorities for personal gains. That's it. Then it goes on to say, Cephas has developed close relationships with suspects of criminal investigations and has received bribes from individuals in exchange for arranging for their cases to be dropped. Twehway, on the other hand, has used his position at the NPA to corruptly advance his own personal wealth and political agenda. Those are the three charges. Those are what Manesky Act is saying. This is verbatim. So here we are. There are people out there who are adding, this has become a tree. It has branches, it has leaves, it got fruit, low-hanging fruits. So here we are. When someone tells you, let's do it one at a time, Mr. McGil. He has used his position to undermine the integrity and independence of Liberia's democratic institution and subvert government priorities for personal gains. Mr. Patton, what is that?
What do you mean? Okay. What do you mean by what is that? I don't understand.
No,
It's simply is pay for play.
Well, listen to this.
Uh-huh.
I like when they said, let's say for instance, Serena Cephas.
Yeah.
They said he has dropped cases. He has been bribed. ED. That means they are conclusive on that.
Yeah.
But when you say somebody is manipulating the system, how do you prove this in a court of law that this person is guilty of something? When you say this person dropped charges against criminals, you have those files, you have those names, you have those cases.
Yeah.
In this country, prosecutors will tell you that when you're in a bar, somebody got shot or you shot somebody, they begin with charge you with first-degree murder. We carry life sentences or death sentence and all of that. And then as the case and the evidence unfold, they will start dropping it. To some degree, they may drop all the charges. These are things that happen in the legal process everywhere, all over the world. So how then can we say that what he has done, it is so egregious that you're going to put sanction on him? Some people are saying President Weah has failed to reshuffle his government because of a close relationship with these folks, and Uncle Sam is doing him a favor by giving him a lifeline to say, guys, listen, this is not me, this is Uncle Sam. I don't know what the logic in that. We don't have any proof, but those are some of the conversations I'm hearing out there. Mr. Patmore.
Look, here's the thing here. I think the first mistake here will be to correlate it to a court hearing. This is not a court hearing. This is not the traditional legal practice. No, That is not how this act is set up. This act is set up to take action. If you feel that you have been aggrieved by the United States government and the people of the United States, then you can go to court. You can take them to court. But this is not a legal process where you say, oh, well, somebody is accused of something, an investigation is done, and then you have to face your accuser in court, and then they have to provide all this evidence, and you are innocent until proven guilty. That is not the Magnitsky Act. And you cannot look at the Magnitsky Act from that point of view. That is not how it is set up. It is set up to do due diligence. And once that is done, you have to understand something. It goes through different sectors of the U.S. government. Okay? And it rests in the office of the Attorney General. That's where it rests. He is the one that makes the decision. Once he makes the decision that this has met the threshold to take action, then he informs the State Department, and action is taken. So lawyers upon lawyers upon lawyers, legal experts look at these things. They don't just take action because they feel like taking action. They don't just take action because they want to take action. They don't know these people. They don't care about these people. Who they care about is the Liberian people. And they see what is happening. And they don't just go off of somebody saying. They don't pick up the phone and call one person, and the person say, oh, yeah, and I heard that McGil did so and so thing, so I think he's guilty, and then they take action. No, that's not how it works. These things take years, compiling evidence upon evidence upon evidence, emails, correspondence, tape recordings. They include witness statements. They include documentation. You think people go to Liberia and they interact with these government officials? Look, the thing is so broad in Liberia, not even funny. So if there is one crime that you want that is the easiest to prove in Liberia, that's corruption. If from top to bottom. So I think to look at it from that legalistic point of view, like any other case, criminal case, that is not the case. Nobody has been named a criminal. Nobody has been named a criminal. Nobody has been convicted of a crime. All they've said is that we have the resources and the evidence and we believe that this gentleman has conducted these things, and and these are the sanctions that we are placing on him.
Excellent. Eastman, Mr. Eastman, you are muted.
Yeah.
Well, while the engineer is looking for a mute button.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm good.
Okay. We have looked at the charges or the allegation. Now let's look at the suspension itself. President Weah, within 16 hours of the announcement of the accusation, he took swift action. I was on one of the shows, and Rodney Sears said the president is a very measured person. Nothing moves him. He's very slow. He's very methodical, and he would do the right thing. With less than 16 hours when that announcement was made, the president called these folks in, discussed with them what was obtaining, and did what any other CEO would do. Suspend anybody within your organization that has been accused of grave allegations. And I made something similar. One of my employees accused one of my other employees of potential sexual harassment, which is a serious issue in this country. And it should be all over the world, especially when we work for somehow have some connection with state federal funding. So here we are. The president took immediate action to suspend these folks. What does that say about our system, about the president, about actually where we are as a nation?
Okay, I'm going to take off the gloves here, Jerome. I have issues with the sanctions and our response. We heard of sanctions against Senator Sherman,
Prince Johnson,
and Prince Johnson. What has come of those sanctions? You see, when they come up with sanctions like that means they have credible evidence to go on. Now, we as a government, we as a people, we can either take their lead and do the requisite investigation, cooperate with them. I'm sure they're going to make the evidence readily available to us. But there was nothing done. And when nothing is done, and then today we see that the chief executive, he did take action. So my question is, well, why the legislature never took action? Because actually those were members of the why they never address this issue? You see, when justice is selective, then it's not justice at all. It has to be across the board, And once we having this selective justice, what is fair? So if we're going to take actions against the three, then there definitely some actions should have been done against what has the Senate been doing? And many people claim that the Senate, the legislature specifically, is one of the problems we have. It is an organization that is virtually impotent. They don't do anything, and whereas they're supposed to be the watchdogs, the oversight. And to have a solid democracy, you need all three branches being actively involved in decision making, in balancing our democracy. And that is so part of our problem. It's evident that we have a legislature that is almost defunct. Now, they cited members of the executive branch, and some action was taken. But we can't be selective. If we're going to have a democracy that works, that people can trust, a business atmosphere that people know they would get redressed if they were wrongly treated, then we have to address these things properly and not do nothing. I don't understand this do nothing stance. At least the legislature should have come up with a statement about, okay, we have received these sanctions from the U.S. government, and we are going to take this into consideration. We have no answer. We have heard nothing from this body. So it's interesting that where the people claim that the chief executive doesn't do anything, but this is clearly not the answer. He's taking action this time, okay? But we need people like the legislature to do more things. We need them. We need them when they're passing budgets. They have not been involved in our best interest, and hopefully we will see more to come. But what we want to see is action. We want to see what's going to happen with these things. Yeah?
Mr. Eastman, I think Mr. Padmore, I think Eastman has a point here. Like I keep saying, we have to. This conversation has to be had. For instance, the international community said this Senate, the legislative body of Liberia, presided over 68 concession agreements. And 66 of the 68 concession agreements were anti-Liberian, totally against the Liberian people. 66 out of 68. The Senate, the legislative body. So Jimmy has a point here, this thing here. everybody collectively, we have to take a part because we keep electing these people, and these people are giving everything away, and the executive signs off on it, and then next year the same thing happens. We a few years ago we were targeting Ellen. We were taking her to, you name it, calling her names and doing everything because it was this, it was that. When Ellen left, President Weah came in, the legislative body still doing the same thing. And when Vani Sherman and Prince Johnson were sanctioned, I know in this country, if something happens in the Senate or in the lower house, and these people are accused, the House have their own internal rules that will remove or deal with that person if the evidence is credible. What does the Liberian legislature do if you have such grave allegation against your own?
So here's the thing. Right? I will speak on this, and I'll speak on this once, and because I will now allow you to change the conversation, because tonight we're talking about Judge Weah and his lieutenants, not the Senate or the legislature. So I will speak on this, and I'll speak on this just one time. The Senate has its own rules. Those rules, the rules of the Senate or the House of Representatives cannot supersede the Constitution. The Liberian Constitution is very clear on what actions can be taken against an elected member of the legislature. And that is what stands. You have to understand something. These sanctions have very targeted actions. One is you are denied a U.S. visa. That's the first thing. The second thing is that if there are any properties that are within the U.S. or within the reach of the U.S. government will be seized. The third thing is that the U.S. government will not do business with you. Those are the three things. Now, when it comes to the legislature, that's why Vani Sherman was able to slide under the radar. The U.S. government does not do business with Vani Sherman, but the U.S. government does business with the Liberian Senate. What does that mean? That means that if the U.S. government is having a meeting with the Liberian Senate, you better do not send Vani Sherman, because we're not doing business with Vani Sherman. And all senators are equal. So you can send somebody else. That is totally different than the executive. If the U.S. government says, we are not going to do business with the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, your chief of staff, basically the Prime Minister of Liberia, you are in deep trouble. Look, let me tell you something. I believe sincerely that Minister Twehway, the Minister of Finance, should be on that list. And the only reason why he is on that list is because if he had been put on that list, basically what the U.S. government is going to be saying is that we cannot do business with your Minister of Finance. What that would do is that would directly put the people of Liberia at risk, because all of the monies that come from the U.S., the grants, the loans, and all of the charitable money that comes from the U.S. comes through the Ministry of Finance. And so if the U.S. government says, I cannot do business with the Minister of Finance, now the people of Liberia will start to be, basically it will be a sanction against the people of Liberia. And because of that only, I believe that is why Twehway is not on that list.
Mr. Padmore, I want to differ with you. The United States is a powerful country. They will go after the interest. They do not care who is in the way. If Mr. Twehway, because from the beginning of this administration, you and Mr. Cummings and all his lieutenants, the three names that you have lobbied for to be sanctioned has always been Jefferson Koji, Mr. McGil, and Twehway. Those are the three lieutenants that you find to be the rock of Gibraltar. If you want to get to George,
that's not what
you want to get to George. We are so bad you can't. So those three lieutenants, you've been trying to get rid of them, but to your surprise, it has not happened. And I can see The frustration in your face that they have not
There
gotten
is
to,
none.
to Twehway. But listen, if Twehway have been corrupt, he would have been, because he's number one on the list, on your list. If Twehway was corrupt, remember Twehway had worked in the alien government for the past 10 years before, in similar capacity before he became Minister of Finance. So he been in the system, he been around for years. So if he had been corrupt, they would have said it. Uncle Sam does not bite her lip or his lip because of somebody. So get rid of this. And the president, the American government made it clear it is not against this administration. It is not against our party. It is not against the Liberian people. It's against individuals. So I will not allow you to try to sneak under the radar here and say that this is a message to President Weah. That's not so far from the truth. And in our democracy, crime is not.
Listen.
In our democracy and in the United States, crimes are not transferable. If Mr. Padmore Jr. went out there and killed somebody in Minnesota, they are not going to come to Michael Padmore Sr. and arrest you because your son did it. Crimes are not transferable. So these guys were accused. The president suspended them. The president suspended them pending the full investigation, which is what all CEO would do.
That's another question.
But
I got a question for you. Don't run away, please. I got two questions for you.
Yes.
Okay. All right. During the alien regime, when the member of CDC was shot and killed in public, in broad view, the police director, was he suspended or was he fired? Let me help you. He was fired.
No, listen.
Let me help you. He was fired.
Don't help me.
When the Minister of State,
he was not fired. He was not fired.
He was fired.
He was not fired. AMLA was given a golden parachute.
Look,
he was given a gold. He was given his retirement. He was given pension. He was a criminal who is charged and fired. If you are charged in this country with murder on your job, you forfeit most of your benefits.
He didn't kill nobody.
Oh, go ahead. I just want to make that correction.
The Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, Willis Knuckles, when pictures came out, compromising pictures that embarrassed the government and the president, did he keep his job? No. He was forced to resign. He wasn't suspended. What I'm trying to tell you, leaders take actions.
No, but Willie Knuckles was not accused. Willie Knuckles' butt naked picture was shown. So it was not an accusation. It was a fact.
That was not a crime. That was not a crime.
What?
It was not a crime.
Yes, but it was factual.
No, listen to me.
It was factual.
What was factual?
It was factual that he was butt naked having sex with women, double women. It was factual.
Sir, what was the crime involved?
We are not talking about crime. The president said it was unethical. It was unbecoming of
And what did she do? And what did she do?
He resigned.
Okay. I'm just trying to show you a trend. What leaders do.
The trend has to be factual. This man was accused. McGil had been accused. It's not factual that he did anything. He was accused. We have to see the evidence.
Who we have to see the evidence? The president. Are you trying to tell me the president took action against an innocent man with us seeing evidence?
Yes.
Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes.
That's what you're implying.
If the president saw the evidence and the evidence was proponents of the evidence were against McGil, they would have fired him. In fact, the president said he had given them 2 more weeks for the investigation, and if he found guilty, he would be fired.
2 more weeks. 2 more weeks.
That's what we are saying.
The so good will all be here to see the face of George Weah. Please don't forget that on Saturday morning, what did George Weah spent the Saturday morning one-on-one with the U.S. ambassador.
That's correct.
Remember? And you saw the photos after that.
They went for breakfast.
Got a sour look on his face. That's what he saw from there.
The man been on a tour all week long. The president been on a tour all week long. The president is been.
So that one made it taste sour.
Mr. Padmore, we have spent too much time on this here. Let's move to the next topic here. I know we'll come back to this because
no problem.
We are beating you guys to this thing so bad that you You want to go
Go
somewhere.
right ahead, Chief.
Let's go to McGill's welcome ceremony in Gbarnga for the man who have been accused.
He was not accused.
Oh, come on.
Read the paper. The paper does not say alleged.
Listen.
You just read the paper, man.
The
Stop
thing said,
inserting words.
listen, the man have not been proven guilty. The man was accused. The man went to a funeral in Bond County to a hero's welcome, like Jesus Christ entering Jerusalem. They had a palm tree.
And what happened to Jesus 3 days later?
Listen, don't mess with my religious belief here. This man came in and they were shouting, Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me, same thing. This man, is there a disconnect here between the United States and the people on the ground?
No, let me chime in there.
Go right ahead.
You know, I'm not sure from the last speech Minister McGil gave, I'm not sure he was posturing as a modern day Robin Hood, because he was talking about, you know, if we steal, at least we spend the money here. We use the money here. We don't put it in somewhere else. That's Robin Hood, where he stole from the rich and gave to the poor. So it's not uncommon that if people will appreciate you giving them handouts and they benefit from whatever loot you've taken. But so we cannot look at the jubilant crowds to say that this is a justification, unless you believe in Robin Hood, where it's okay to steal as long as you are helping poor people. The whole part about it, where is this money come from? Is it not coming from, where did money come from that is being divided around and being used around? Is it not coming from the same poor people projects? Is it not coming from the same poor people treasury box? So I don't look at the jubilant crowds. I believe that if that man should be, if he exonerates himself, then more power to him. But we have to follow up with these investigations. We have to get outcomes. A lot of what we do is just talk. It's superficial. This is the same reason I've talked about the Senate. There's nothing that came out of it. We need to follow up to the end. If we're going to change the structure and the trajectory of Liberia, we have to follow the rules and laws. If we're not going to follow rules and laws, we're going to have a problem. Okay, so this accusation came from a foreign nation. Unfortunately, the foreign nation we're talking about is a very powerful foreign nation and very involved in our affairs. So as the chief executive, what are you going to do? You have a choice. Go solo on your own or do according to what they have to do, what they say. And for me, if I was I was President Weah, I'm just going to say, my man, you have to go in investigation. And if you're proven guilty, then you are. If you're proven innocent, then we'll announce to the world that you're innocent. But there's some of this, these things, I mean, you have to act fast on it. You have to be decisive. And we need law and order in our country if we're going to change where we are, where we're going. As long as we're playing halfway, we're not going anywhere. So it's important that we follow this thing to the end. Surprisingly, though, in the defense of the administration, we heard in the past of other blatant robberies and stealing, but we didn't see sanctions then. Why are we seeing sanctions today? Is it because it's at an alarming rate? And then that's what I'm talking about. This selective judgment. I don't understand it.
Yeah, Mr. Eastman, excuse me 1 minute. Mr. Eastman, let's be fair to the Magnitsky Act. The ambassador made it clear. He said this act came into being 2017.
Okay, very recent.
Yes. Yeah, so if you know the law, we got to tussle and tussle.
That's
the law
correct.
Cannot be retroactive. If the law
That's correct.
You can't go back and say we got to bring it. You can't do that. So
I
it was
agree.
from 2017 onward Now, if you want to try everybody else from the previous day, you have to set up like the folks are trying to say economic and war crime court. Some of us that are against it is exactly because of that. Those who are in power will go and bring people they didn't like from the past, and it's just a rigmarole. So to be fair to this act, it started in 2017 because of action like these, not just in Liberia, but all over the world where the United States is actually putting a lot of money. So because of that, the United States say enough is enough. We are now going to set up an act that will now hold these people accountable, especially Liberia. If you remember, I think Mr. Patton and I behind the scene, we all divulging a lot. We saw Liberia was designated for Feed the Future. That's basically a $3 billion program. And if they are going to put that kind of money in these countries, selected countries, Liberia is the fulcrum. You know, Liberia used to have the Omega Tower because of our position and our relationship. We were the spy tower for the whole of Africa. Feed the world now because of Putin and the Ukraine. They try to starve the rest of the world. So Liberia has become critical. So I'm also welcoming the fact that, listen, we have made some misstep, a lot of missteps in the past, but from now on, and that begins with my own president, President Weah. Those of us who are young folks, if you consider us young, I'm talking about this generation, the generation after us, we have to, besides our own political affiliations, we have to do all effort, not just defend our spot and our president and our cousins and our relatives, but from now on, we should do all we can to make sure that we clean up some of these acts. And I'm saying it, and I've been saying it before. People do not get into government and become corrupt. You who's stealing your cousin's money when they send you to buy that piece of land or build that house, they send you money for somebody, you use it. You sending land 2-3 times. You are corrupt in your church, in your mosques. You rob your own wife. All of these are the things that makes our government. The government is not strange people from anywhere. That's also us. We have a Republican form of government where we elect people who look, talk, and walk like us. So if you have crooks wind up there, crooks, put them there. So we have to look within ourselves and say, who are we electing? How do we elect these people? So, Mr. Padmo, go ahead.
I wanted to say something.
It is not partisan. This one is like go ahead.
I wanted to say something, and I really hope the Liberian people listening hear this. It's from the Magnitsky Act. It's a sentence from the Magnitsky Act. Okay, it says that the U.S. government considers sanctions to be a tool used to encourage policy and behavior modification rather than a punitive instrument. You know, we all see this thing as punishment. No. They don't see the Magnitsky Act as punishment. What they want the Liberian government to do is to modify their behavior and their policy. And this going to move us directly into our second post. No amount of crowd polling, no amount of sanction or sanction will vote for him, no amount of praying, no amount of people gathering one place to cheer for you is going to change this. The only thing that will change this moving forward is if this government is able to modify its behavior and its policies towards corruption. That's all this is saying.
Yeah, but Mr. Padmore, it's not just government. It is, I like it for us as people.
As a people.
So what they are doing, they will come after you, like the man said, as an individual, they will come after you. So what this is saying, before you come into government, you better clean up your act.
Yes.
And when you get into government, whether you're in the executive or you're in the legislative branches of government, if you come in here corrupt, doing those things that these guys have done, you too will be subject to that. And I like the idea that they had the levy hanging over every one of us, including myself here.
Everybody.
Okay. If you are going out there If I'm talking to the government and I say I'm going to lobby on your behalf, and I do not do it legally to say I'm a consultant and this is my bill, this is what I'm charging you per month or per year, and I'm telling you to give me kickback, okay? That is not on the books. That's illegal, and that's theft of property against the folks. That's illegal.
Yes.
That is people who don't want to work, to get gradual wealth. They want to grab wealth in an instant. You don't want to make $10,000 a month or $5,000 a month. You want to see like Rivercess leave the $30 million US in one shot. That's why the American people got together and said 2017. From now on, those who did something in the past, you are forgiven or will deal with you in different ways. But from now on, our money is not going to come to this country, and people do it any way they feel like because they empower. Whether you are CDC, you ANC, whatever
it doesn't matter.
you are, as an individual, you can't hide behind anybody. You can't hide behind the president, your mother, and we all have to welcome this. We all have to expose. Don't wait for investigation. Expose these people.
That is the most important point. We don't have to wait for Magnitsky Act.
No, we don't have to.
We have, as a government and as a people, we have to be the one to step ahead of it and arrest these situations. I mean, we know. Look, let's be honest, man. If we are being honest, let's be honest. Look, there's certain things you can benefit from government. You got a government job. You're making $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. You know, when you travel out of the country, you get your stipend. You put those few things together. You make a little black in your yard. You improve your house. Fine, that's okay. But when you start all of a sudden 3 years in government, 4 years in government, you've built a mansion. You got another mansion down the street. You got a mansion. Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, why do you have to, what are we doing? And then when things happen, then everybody want to protect their own rule, And this is not a CDC thing. It's not a CDC thing. UP did the same thing. UP protected their own roads. When we accuse Rivercess leave them of stealing money, when we accuse, other government officials of stealing money, they came to their defense. They came to their defense. That's one of the reasons why I was very disheartened. I was very disheartened when this president chose not to audit the alien government because he wanted peace. Because he wanted peace. And like the famous saying goes, he who submits, his security, his freedom in exchange for security deserves neither. So now we got a big brother over our shoulder. We'll see how it goes.
Great. Let's go to number 3 on here. The president's tour, county tour. I got a call from one of the top ANC folks. Actually, it wasn't a call; it was a text. She said to me, "You guys were smooth enough to sneak a political rally in disguise or something called county tour." And I told her this had nothing to do with politics. There were no political strings attached to this. The president just went to see his people. Mr. Padmore, no, Mr. Eastman, you've been quiet for a while.
Yes.
Mr. Eastman, these people are lying on the president that he campaigning. The president is not campaigning. He never campaigned. Never said anything ever. He
never said anything.
He just told his people, "Thank you. What you want me to do?" and all of that.
He don't say anything. Go ahead, Mr.
The president definitely, when he was going around, he mentioned many of his accomplishments, and he mentioned that how people their views and opinions and how he has proven them wrong. It's easy to view this as a campaign move, but it under the banner of a county tour, can you distinguish the two? That's the advantage of the incumbent. All incumbents have that advantage. They just need to go say, "I'm going to visit a county," and it is not necessarily a election. visit, but it is to visit the county. How can you distinguish the two? So that's the advantage of being the incumbent. But one thing for sure is that his popularity has not really wavered that much. He's still a very, very popular president. Mr. Weah has to do is make sure that his lieutenants are not seen as being corrupt, that the projects that he's undertaken, that he sees them to the end, because I can tell you from an engineering standpoint, projects get derailed. They start off good and they go bad. Taking money from this project to put it here, that's some of the reasons projects don't get completed. Because once that money that was earmarked for this project, once you've removed it, sometimes it can be very difficult to get that project back on track. So I've seen this happen. It's not something we should be doing. This is not a good strategy. And so those are the things he's going to have to make sure his lieutenants are doing, because this dig hole to cover hole, it is not a successful policy. And so his popularity is one thing, but the execution of his administration, he has to make sure that those lieutenants are using the best policies and carrying on the projects accordingly, or it will backfire on him eventually. Okay, you can't sit back. You got to make sure they're doing their job, and that's the only threat I see he has, that they're not doing their job.
Mr. Padmore, why the opposition is lying on this president that he campaigns, he's in campaign mode. The man went to West Point to see his people, and you'll see he's campaigning. Why are you keep lying on this man, accusing him of campaigning when you know this man doesn't campaign? Campaign doesn't start until next year, July. Why you guys keep accusing this man of campaigning? Straight up. Look in that camera, look in the faces of the Liberian people, and tell them that President Weah is not campaigning. He never campaigned. He just went to see the people.
So yeah, Liberian people, the president did not campaign. He just went and asked the people for a second chance. I don't know how to call that other one. He said, "Y'all give me another mandate." Not campaigning. Yeah, I will not campaign. Y'all please. Y'all give me another 6 years. Then I'm campaigning. Okay? In the eyes of the people. You don't go on content tour and start talking about the people giving you another mandate. You go on content tour and start telling the people to give you another 6 years so you can finish the thing when you started. That was not campaigning. When you get everybody red by red. Yes, on it. They're not campaigning. Oh my people.
The light pole.
You all understand?
The light pole got his picture.
We are 2023. No, you all understand? It is the advantage of an incumbent. You know, it is an advantage. Even if he had not said those words, just appearing, you know, and talking about the things he's done, you know, and promoting his administration and himself. You know, it is what it is. You know, he's going to use government cars to do that. He's going to do it on government dime. You know, it's the advantage of there's nothing really you can do about that. You know, it is what it is. You know, that is why it is extremely important for this opposition to get the act together and recognize that you are up against a fight. When you are up against the incumbent, you are up against a fight. That was something that CDC recognized a long time ago, going into 2017. That's why going into 2017, they had their house in order, because they knew in order to unseat the UP, they need to have their house in order. And this opposition, if you guys don't recognize that, he's going to ride the bully puppet to another 6 years. It's as simple as that.
Mr. Padmore, we are looking at the presidency we are looking at, you've been singing this song for I don't know how many months about the opposition coming together and putting together a united front. So even those of us who support the president, we do not want to see a one-party state anymore.
No, that won't be helpful for us.
We have to have at least a viable opposition, like here, Republican, Democrats. We want to have that so we can have where there is competition. We talk about legitimate competition. There's always improvement. There's always success. We need to have a legitimate competition, and you have been saying this, that the opposition needs to come together so we can put together a team that will be able to take down this administration. And up to now, from everybody that I have seen, that I have listened to, you are the most consistent voice out here that telling the folks we need to come together. The sooner, the later. Mr. Eastman, I think our colleague here has been saying this for the time he been on this show. Prior to him coming on, he's saying this. If we really love this country like we say we do, if we are going to be defeated, let this celebrity president defeat us because we didn't do our job, but not because we need to be fragmented. What you think and what you see, are the people listening to him?
But I love to comment on the opposition and the challenge to the status quo. What I notice in the opposition is we are not putting Liberia first. It is more about their selfish ambitions than it is about Liberia. We saw a very successful run by the opposition, and that got Senators Dick and Dillon elected and others. It was so successful that they started infighting because they could see the light at the end of the tunnel, that one of them might, that they might be successful. And so they wanted to find a way to guarantee themselves success instead of using the ballot box. That is dangerous. This is the very thing. This is very counter what you're asking. You're asking for democracy, and you saw in the opposition that some were shying away from a democracy. And interesting enough, I've heard some of the loudest voices that are in the opposition now decries the opposition for being weak after they weakened the opposition. You see, it always has to be something that you know what to prioritize. You don't attack the same people on your team. Then you never win a game if you're attacking your teammates. They're going to be teammates on your team that are weaker. They're going to make mistakes, but you leverage each other competencies and you go. But if it became an attack game, and now you say the opposition is weak, after you've weakened the opposition. So this opposition, I truly don't see them coming together, because the things that they have done against each other is treacherous. I mean, the height of treachery. And so maybe there's some dark horse that we haven't seen yet, but the opposition, the known one, the Liberty, the UP, the ANC, I don't see them coming together at all. I bet Mr. Padmo, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see that happening.
Mr. Padmo, before you come in, people taking Musa Belete lightly. The guy is the man is a tactician. He has the resources. He has everything that politics calls for, and he's smart. He said something several months ago to the opposition. He says, "My people, let us win before we try to govern. I know you were talking to the Unity Party. You are trying to govern before you even win.
Mm-hmm.
Let's win before we govern. You can have the best plan in the world. If you don't have a strategy to win, your plan will catch dust.
Mm-hmm.
This is a man who never went to Harvard. He didn't go to any of the Ivy League school, nothing. But he's telling you what is practical. Mr. Patmore, I mean, I have never forgotten. He said, let us win before we govern. But for now, Unity Party wants to govern before they win. This is, I mean, that is telling. I mean, we talk about poetic justice here. Go ahead, Chief. You are muted.
Yes, there we go. Yes, I mean, look, Musa Belete has proven, Musa Belete has proven that when it comes to Liberian politics, you know, he is well in tuned. And he has stated the same thing. Musa Belete predicted, well, no, none of us could even think about it. Musa Belete predicted that the UP the UP leadership would not hold through a convention. People laughed at him, and we saw it come to pass. You know, I mean, there's so many things along the way. I don't know how many people are following Musa Belete. Musa Belete has been petitioned by his people to run as a representative in Nimba. That is where Musa Belete lives right now. He lives in Nimba. Go and see the development that Musa Belete is carrying on in Nimba. He knows politics. Anybody over there you ask, will tell you he's already won. He's already won. I believe it's District 4 in Nimba County. That includes Sakeprie, other places. Yes. Mm-hmm. You know, it is what it is. You know, but you mentioned something about competition. And it brought me to a point. Look at the development that's been going on in Lofa because of competition between UP and CDC.
Yeah.
Look at the development that's in Yeke district because of competition between Yeke and CDC. This is what competition does. The people benefit because everybody pays attention. Everybody wants to do right. Everybody wants to make sure the people are satisfied. When you have one party rule, you don't have that. There's no reason to do anything. So you are right. You are right in all aspects, you know. And Musa Belete has said it, you know. We need to put our act together. We need to know exactly what we are doing. We need to have a plan, and we need to execute that plan. Or else we are not going to have an opportunity to govern. We won't.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to On Point with Jerome Gaiman. I'm here in South Florida, beautiful South Florida, home of President Weah. You want to come to Miami? We'll take you to South Beach so you can see what good life looks like. Don't go to Minnesota where it's cold like hell. Don't go to Washington, D.C. where it's cold. Come to Miami and you live a very good life.
Keeps you young. Let me tell you. Okay.
But ladies and gentlemen, we are doing very Mr. Patmore and Jimmy will take I think Patmore, you go ahead and recognize our guests.
Awesome.
And then after that, Mr. Patmore, you can read about maybe 10 comments and let's respond to them. I know there are several to me and to Mr. Patmore. So Mr. Patmore, you go ahead and recognize our guests. I mean,
okay.
Our people here.
All right. So we have Sam Waller on here. Mackie Manu, we have on here. Denise Weah, we have on here. We have Vivian Willard. We have Richard Ragba. We have Achimo Fredericks on here. Want to thank you guys for joining us today. We have Chris Gay on here. We have Flomo Livingston, Emmanuel Jackson, Oliver Zuluwe. Propo King is back with us again. We have Koli Baya. Who else? We have John Simmons on here. Thank you guys for joining us on this Sunday. We have Vafin Chroma on here. Let's see. Cristiano King and George Talewade on here. For a few comments, let's see on here. We have Sam Wallow is saying the sanctions are against individuals, not the Liberian government. Discuss this in those terms and what the Justice Ministry should be doing. Vivian Willer said this generation will set the stage for the next generation. We will fight with everything within us to make sure of that. Cristiano King says this group of opposition of Liberia are a disgrace. George Talawade says, I disagree with you. They have not concluded a comprehensive review of the dealings. John Simmons on here says, I like the debate, but you're trying to bring my man Jimmy in small more. Bobby Croman says, did the U.S. government say allege? And Sam Wallow says, ask Padmo to give an example of President Sirleaf prosecuting any of her officials for corruption. Hey, my people. Emmanuel Jackson is watching from Route 128 in Massachusetts. Collie Bayer says, can someone be alleged and be placed on sanctions? I'm just asking. And then Purple King says the U.S. does not have interest in your investigation. McGil is done. Wow. And then what do we have here? Flomo Livingstone says, Mr. Eastman, the American don't just come out without factual information. Emmanuel Jackson says, Liberia need pass. The poor performance of governance, so much opportunities from the U.S. to redevelop our economy, surplus of virtual jobs could be transferred to Liberia by companies in the U.S. That is indeed true. So we have Richard Ragbo. Richard Ragbo says, people, let me say this. How about all the others that take money from the past government? People that in that your America that going around with stolen money. George Talawade says the U.S. will not take careless legal actions. They know they can be sued after concluding the investigation. John Walla English was to do that. Some people typing really fast. They have the facts on McGil, Twehway, and others are being investigated currently. Sam Wallow says, no, that is not okay to take money provided for government travel for personal use like building home. Really? Is that future ANC talks? Is that the future ANC talks about? And then finally, Achimo Frederick says, is there any significance to the claim by the president that those sanctioned individuals are being suspended pending the investigations? So there you go, people. Thank you so much. Thank you. Always welcome. Oh, there's one. Mr. Gateman, those days that we had trust in America are gone. I am a Bassa man from Compantry. Hey, thank you so much, Richard Ragboy in Compantry.
Don't mess with my America now. Don't mess with my Uncle
Sam.
Thank
you so much, Richard, from Compantry. When you start calling the company number, you must know that real Bassa.
Real Bassa, you want to. Mr. Eastman, one of the comments I was reading, when America says anything for some of us in the third world, we think it's absolute that America can never be wrong. And we had instances where the United States have been wrong. The most recent big one was when Colin Powell went to the UN with his tube of nuclear weapons that Saddam Hussein had compiled, and he was about to blow the world up and find out that it was as false as they could come. We also saw President George Bush during the election, before the election when he was about to invade Iraq. They had a young lady come and testify saying that a baby that was in an incubator was suffocated to death. They took the incubator off and the child died. This is the kind of human being Saddam Hussein was, and the numbers, it goes on and on. So America, yes, it's a great country, but they also have their own flaws. And yes, if you are dealing with the United States, they could be your friend today, and tomorrow, like they say, there is, like Ronald Reagan used to say, America does not have any permanent friends. They could be your friend having coffee with you, but when it comes to the American interests, their interest is the only thing that is constant. And we Liberians, I'm not talking about, I know the whole world. I can't talk about the whole world, but I can talk about Liberia. We have to understand this. And I'm a living witness. My Uncle Tom, when you was member, when the CIA recruited, he was the darling. He and Charles Taylor were the darlings of the war, and they were doing everything. When Uncle Sam got ready for Tom called me for help. I told him, I said, Tom, I want you to know that people are listening to this call that you are making. When they tell you are on a house arrest, if Uncle Sam puts you on a house arrest, your phone is tapped. Don't call me to transfer money to you. You need to. I'm not going to do it. We are talking about personal issue here. So when Uncle Sam tells you this, that they love you and you are this, you are that, you got to be very careful at the time. Uncle Tom was walking on water 1998, 99, 2000, 2001, all the way to 2000, all the way to 2001. Tom was walking on air. And look what happened. I'm only saying this to say you are in government or have some proximity to power, and you think that you have arrived, and you this monster beating your chest, nothing can happen to me. I got Uncle Sam protecting me. You are in for a rude awakening. Mr. Eastman, you are in Washington, D.C. Mr. Padmore, I think you know several of these things. I'm saying it because I'm warning those of us who, the young lady said, the emerging Liberia, the emerging democracy. We have to learn from our past. What these people have done. Like the old man used to say in the interior, you're fine crossing that river. And the first three guys go swim and they come out. The third guy go swim, come out, and you're number 4. It's your turn. And you think that you're the hero, you will make it, then you are a fool. Turn around and run the other way. That's what's happening here. This is a warning to all aspiring, those who say, I want to aspire to be senator, to be president, to be this. When you get there and you think you have arrived, it may not be Uncle Sam, it may not be this, but somebody is watching you, and the interest is permanent, not the friendship, Mr. Patmore.
No, I think you are talking to me first. Let me go quickly. Let me go quickly. You're 100% spot on that the U.S. government is going to secure their interests. They're going to pursue their interests, and then that's what they do. They've been called the watchdog of the world and various other things, but mainly what is their interest is what they continue to pursue. So when these sanctions came up the other day, and I kind of wondered, and I said, why is the U.S. government, what is their interest here that they're bringing these sanctions against these officials? And I had a little reflection. If you can remember that just a couple of weeks ago, the SOUP students went to lay a petition to the U.S. Embassy, and they were pursued by thugs and manhandled in broad daylight under the where police and all being present. That the U.S. government had seen that is a situation that can degenerate. We've seen this happen before, that people trying to express their freedom of speech are mugged and harassed by thugs of the either directly or indirectly from the administration. The U.S. government knows very well if this degenerates into something else, they will have to come in again. All the money they've spent to develop us will go in vain. They don't want to see that. So I believe that may have been something that triggered these things. It is one thing to pilfer, to steal, but it's a whole different thing when you are trying to suppress and people's rights, human rights, their right to complain, the right to protest. We've seen it happen with Doe, where so many people were killed. It started when he attacked the University of Liberia. He sent his soldiers there that raped and did all kinds of things to students. This is not the first time we've seen this. And this is how things begin to degenerate, because it does not go away. And so I think the direction they're intervening, because where they see it going is in a direction that of no return. And I think they're trying to correct that behavior. And I'm very confident that we will see changes. We will see some changes in the near future, because the administration is very looking up to the U.S. government for a lot of things. And lastly, I like to say it is not in our favor to be dependent on anyone. We definitely need to create industries in Liberia that young boys and girls can take a profession and have a job. We're not developing industries in Liberia. That's part of the problem. And until we begin to do that, roads are good, but industries bring development inherently. They bring about things, because if a factory, for instance, needs street lights somewhere, they will put their own street lights in. If they even need power, they will put their own generator in. Target industries so that Liberians can have careers. And the other thing about industries is it creates development in other surrounding industries as well. So, for instance, if we start producing tires or instead of just producing latex, the next thing you know, we'll have factories that produce chairs, produce slippers. Those people who produce chairs and slippers, they will have stores. It has a domino effect. But instead of worrying about loans, let's develop our industries. Let's target so that the young people will have a future in Liberia.
Thank you. And let's go we are running out of time. Let's go to the last topic here. Mr. Padmore, on the front pages of the newspapers in Liberia, we are seeing the possibility of a new Supreme Court Chief Justice. And it's a beautiful, smart, tough, well-learned woman. Mr. Padmore, I know you, like myself and Mr. Eastman here, having gender equity, even though that word is not true, there's nothing that can be equal. We do not live in an egalitarian society where everything is 50-50. But having women in permanent position, powerful position, means and says a lot about democracy and the maturity of our society. How do you see the selection of Ms. Weah as the next Supreme Court Chief Justice? You are muted.
It's very different. I know that it's going to be a first for Liberia. We are hopeful. that will be a positive change. Um, and we've seen a lot of great Liberian female leaders. Angie Brooks Randall, what was our first head of state?
I think Johnson
Ruth,
Sahib.
no, Ruth Perry.
Or Ruth Perry, that's correct.
Ruth Perry, yes. That was able to settle those men down. You know, the Charles Taylor, the bullies, and she was able to settle them down and say, look, keep our heads on where we're going. So we hope that will be a good change. The greatest challenge in a sector of our Liberian society right now is the independence of thought. Where you are able to have your own thought process and to make sure that those are the things that you push forward and you avoid the influence of the powerful executive. And that's this is not a knock on CDC. That's just how our country is built. So we're hopeful. We're excited. There's been a lot of jabs through at Chief Justice Okokwo. So now he's about to bow out, and he's doing it before the elections. A lot of people were critical that you have seen that most of our elections end up in the Supreme Court, and people are worried about that. Now we're going to have a new justice and a new vote, and hopefully that is a new dawn. We're hopeful. We're hopeful because it's the bedrock of our peace. If people can get justice in the courts, they have no reason to resort to violence, to resort to going to bush, and all those things that we hope Liberia never sees again in our lifetime or any future lifetime thereof. So we're excited. We're excited. What Ronald Reagan said: trust but verify.
That's correct. Mr. Eastman, there's another group on the other end that's saying the choice of Ms. Yo as the Chief Justice, she is the wife of a very close friend of the president's. How do we distinguish the Koko court to now the York court? People are saying that this woman is the wife of a very close friend to the president, and the president saying, but that gentleman is also a member of the opposition. He's a UPP. I mean, he's a UP man. He just happens to be a friend. What do you think about the critic? Because it's not coming from the opposition, but the critics are saying mostly those who are saying that they may have had their own people in mind to lead the Supreme Court, and now they are saying the president had tapped her to replace Mr. Koko because she's the wife of a very good friend.
Yes, she is the wife of Mr. Edwin Snow, Senator Edwin Snow. And it is questionable. But, as two things come in mind here. First of all, it appears there is a political elite in Liberia because the people who rule Liberia right now, look like they're all related or interrelated somehow. So, whenever we have only one set of people, I've seen this in the past in the True Potter regime. Whenever you have only one set of people ruling, that is not a very healthy thing. Because later on you find that it lends itself to biases, to put it in lightly, that people will think alike and do things alike and they might develop prejudices and preferential treatment for some people. So I kind of wonder. I kind of don't like the idea that we have only a certain political elite now dominating the arena. But some people propose that Jemima Wallacoli should have been a better choice, the next person in line in session. What we need to do, what the Senate will need to do, they will have to look at the decisions and the writ that these people that she's done before, and judge her upon her legal mind and not who she related to or who she's married to. It's going to be a very interesting confirmation, because the Senate, I know they will be very keen on this. And in fact, tomorrow the Senate, just on a side point, is supposed to be rendering a decision on the managing director for the RIA, the airport. I understand the competency and the resume of the proposed candidate is questionable. But we'll see that. I don't want to be unfair to her, because she is Edwin Snow's wife, and he's also another power broker. But let's look at her record. How has she judged? What are her briefs about? Let's look at her briefs. Let's examine her, where she's been, and that's what she should be judged on. Nothing less. But we definitely need new people in our political elite there. Out of this recycling of the same people, I'm getting kind of concerned about it. We need some new, fresh blood, because they will bring in different ideas. And we're talking about elite. I mean, we're talking about the opposition. Whenever you see people cross-carpeting, soon as you elected, Mr. Padmo, soon they elect you from one party, then you cross-carpet and go to the ruling party. That weakens the opposition. That should not be going on. There's something inherently wrong with that, because you need a strong opposition. Why are you now kowtowing to the incumbent? You're giving rise to that one party state where we have come from. The one party, Liberians had a democracy once upon a time, but this one party state caused a lot of harm to us. But we also need to keep on encourage our opposition in an amicable way, not where we were fighting each other. So I look at her nomination, and I say, well, let's look at her record, not who she's married to. That's where my take on it.
Mr. Patmore, this conversation is so uncomfortable to be had, and I keep telling the Liberian people, this Congo country thing is for real. Congo is not a person walking around, and that's it. This is where they make the mistake. It's an elitist concept. You find a country boy like me from Lo-Fi somewhere, we come to CW, we go to school, we're walking around, and now we now wear our suit, and now we are elitist. It is not, we have to disabuse ourselves for those who have made country Congo to be this adversarial thing that nobody should talk about. Congo is not a person that walking around. It's not a human being, like capitalism. Okay, you cannot kill it. It is a concept when you reach certain level, like Giuliani used to say. He was speaking here in Florida, and somebody approached me and said, "But Giuliani, you were a student leader. You went to government school. You were one of the laborers in New York." He said, "Yeah, I was a laborer when I was poor." He said, "Once I started making money, I decided to conserve some of my wealth." So the Republican, Democrat, one for poor, one for, they are rich Democrat, they are poor Democrat, they are rich Republican. So don't get it caught up. So when I keep telling you guys, we have to have the discussion so people can understand that this is not a person per se, it's an elitist thing. If you look at Padmo, you look at Eastmore, you look at me, we all come from the interior somewhere. We all converged in Monrovia, went to school, we competed. And soon we started becoming somebody. Now we all Congo people, okay? Because we are not elite. They don't want to use the word elite. So then they turn around now and want to make you feel bad. Oh, man, this man. So we are saying here, like he is saying, can you avoid being an elitist? For instance, this woman has gone to school, highly educated, trained, like Mr. Eastman is saying, now we are going to track her decisions she has made, her judicial philosophy, all of those things. Hopefully, that's why they follow. And not for her association, who she married to. That's very little. Listen, as we get up there, we create blue blood, okay? You marry somebody that is compatible, somebody within your cycle. You can't just leave and marry somebody who you got nothing in common with. So there will always be that class of folks. So how do we navigate that space? You muted.
The first step here would be to educate, because you have to understand we live in a society where there's a huge degree of uneducated folks, and they take things literally. So when they hear Congo, they don't think beyond the person. So if we're going to discuss in those terms, we have to educate folks that we're not speaking of individuals. We're not speaking. I can't remember the last time I saw a Pio Congo man.
that's the point.
I'm telling you, all the Pio Congo people that I knew, all of them did.
And all the country people, we all mixed up now.
All the country people that I knew,
all mixed up,
yeah, seriously. Liberia, right now, I don't even know any pure Bassa man.
Nope.
I don't know any pure Pele man. You'll say, yeah, my father Pele, but my mom, like Gola woman.
Then you start
Are you Pele or are you Gola? You know what I'm saying? Yes. It's so funny. There's so many crown people that I've met who grew up in Nimba. They're part crown, but they're man like you. And I feel like, wow, look, and they're my age. So these people during the war, can you imagine?
They were babies.
Yes, you during the war, your part people fighting your man people. But Liberia, right now Liberia is just a mixed bowl of people. You see it during the county meet. When the county meet start, the middle jumper say, I have a Bassa.
Yeah.
Soon they knock Bassa on, he said, my man from Lofa. So I check for Lofa. When they knock Lofa on, he said, where? My pa from Nima.
That's
I check, and he will be going until he reach to the final, But it's just what Liberia is. So it is that label. It's not a person anymore. It's a mentality. It's a mentality. We saw those 17 boys come, 1980, they took over. Within a year, all they started in Congo.
That's right. All of them. They dress, talk, walk.
They dress code, they send their children to private school,
Of
and stuff like that. Yeah, they did it, you know what I mean? We saw the boy when they came Maria after the war in 1997 when Charter won, all the boys came and all the same thing. We seen transition after transition. How do you get rid of that? I don't think there's actually a way to get rid of that. But I think what we can do as people is we can raise everybody up. We can raise everybody up. In America, you don't have to be in government to make it. You don't have to be in government to be successful. I don't want to use the word elite, but you don't have to be in government to make money that you can go Liberia and floss like Congo man. You know what I mean? You don't have to do it. I think we have a challenge to provide the same thing in Liberia, where you can be in the private sector and be an Alexander Comics. You can be in the private sector and you can be as rich as anybody else. You can make your way, and you can do the things you want to do. You can aspire to be certain things, and it's possible. Government should be the last thing that you even want to involve yourself in. In America, we involve ourselves in government when it comes to the local level. Our city government, our school boards. Yes, because it impacts us on that level. But none of us sit here and say, man, won't go Washington. Nobody want that headache. The first thing is that when they finish looking behind you and seeking or digging behind you, you don't want that headache. So none of us think about going to Washington. But it is what it is. We just need to create that space. So every Liberian, doesn't matter where you were born. I think that is the most beautiful thing that happened in 2017. The most beautiful thing that happened in 2017 was that a boy from Gibraltar was able to become president. That's why when seditions tell me today, Alexander Cummings will now be president, I say if a boy from Gibraltar can be president, Alexander Cummings can be president. Don't tell me that.
And then 2020, they came and wipe out the whole, they cleaned the whole yard. They took them out and brought in new group of folks. So, Mr. Pano, I think you are right, because in this country, the sex education was something that people didn't want to talk about, because there was so much taboo with sex education. People are saying we need to teach the children when somebody touches you there from kindergarten, somebody touches you there, this is your private part, they're not supposed to do this. They started talking about it. Then they started talking about birth control and all of these were things that people never got to talk about until people got comfortable talking about it. And now fathers are talking to their girls, early pregnancy and all these things. Same concept. We have to now start to talk about these issues about the country Congo. It shouldn't be something that is taboo, that we shouldn't, like you say, we need to educate ourselves.
Yeah.
That once you get to a certain level, in fact, we should encourage everybody to be Congo, if that is the case. If Congo is this thing that is, it means success, it means education, it means going beyond, the pale to be the best you can. Then why don't we say everybody become Congo?
Yeah, yes.
So we have to discuss. We got to tell you, and I told my friend, the guys, nobody should be offended when we're having the discussion. Nobody should be able to say that. The only way we'll be able to accept this concept in a positive sense, like you said, we have to educate ourselves, educate everybody else, because I was in Grand Jury and this crime boy named Michael Gilman, okay, from Weah. I said, what the hell is this? Like just what you said, half and half.
Yep.
Same people. So yes, we have to be able to tell our children, you have to aspire for the highest. Ellen Johnson, Salif, the George Weahs of the world, the Eastman of the world, the Patmos of the world, we have made it to some degree. We are the Congo people. You're come and be just like us. And that's how it is. The only time I don't like it is when you use the person's status against them to deny them privileges. Then you have crossed the line to say, because like in this country, you're black or you poor or you're Hispanic, then you have violated that ethic. But other than that, we are running out of time here. Mr. Padmore, I really enjoy, especially the Supreme Court one, because people don't understand. Like I kept saying, the fulcrum of our democracy is on the judiciary.
Yep.
If we cannot get redress, people take matters into their own hand. That jungle justice, I see
exactly
killing people. Because we have not been educated to understand that if you catch a rogue, it is not your job. Because you saw it in South Africa, they're doing that. Doesn't mean we should do it in Liberia. We are way above that. We're not supposed to do these things. You can't kill somebody because if you see a rogue in the neighborhood, everybody gets them and run. The nearest person they catch, whether that person running to, they just grab the person and start killing the person. We can't do that. There has to be a process. So, Mr. Eastman, you're closing. We got 11 minutes here. Let's close out so we can go.
Okay, so we've seen something new. So we've seen sanctions against key players. Is this going to be a turning point in the Weah administration? Are we going to see new appointees that will toe the line the way they should, or will we see resistance to this? We remember once when Dole had to change Alvin June from finance ministry. What he did was to reassign him to the Minister of Foreign Presidential Affairs.
Yeah.
We want to see things going better in Liberia. And honestly, I believe a new group of people, some other lieutenants. Hopefully, they will bring something different to the table. But do we want somebody that will not wherever the president says he just does, or we want somebody who will help the president with new ideas? So this year coming is going to be one of the most interesting years to come in our new republic's history. I look forward to it.
Thank you, Mr. Padmore.
All right, so I got a few things I want to run by. So first, I will start out with I want to give a shout out to Elvin Morris. If you guys notice the ticker tape that goes under the screen here, OnPoint, which is produced and brought to you guys by Focus on Liberia TV, totally runs on your donations. And Elvis sent in a donation. We appreciate you, Elvis. Thank you so much. If others, there you go, right there. You can donate at $FOL TV. These guys have been running this for years, just on donations, and I don't even know how they do it. But your donations are always welcome. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Elvis. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, Sam Waller had mentioned on there concerning, I said something. Thank you so much, Elvis. We really appreciate you, man. We really appreciate you. So Sam Waller had mentioned, I had said something concerning how, sometimes in government you get to travel and you get your list stipend and then you can use it. So and Sam Waller has said something concerning ANC. So when you touch ANC, you touch every part of me. So I have to reply to that. Okay. What I meant to say, Sam Waller, is that usually even within the country, when the government send you up country, they give you a daily stipend that when you're supposed to find food to eat, find somewhere to sleep. I'm not talking about operational funds. I'm talking about your little small one. It is okay every day. They money will get you every day. You take $75 from there. You find somewhere to sleep. You find somewhere to eat. Okay, we used to do that. I used to work with an NGO. We used to do that. But when we go up country, what we'll do is we'll share room. Instead of everybody renting their own room in Gbarnga, we'll share room. Everybody put money together. We'll get one room. Everybody put a mattress on the floor. Everybody lay down there. Why? Because we wanted to bring most of the money back home to our family. So that's what we did. That's what I was talking about, Sam. Okay, and then he mentioned something again when I said, when the boys came in 1980 and took over. The reason why I used the word boys, because they were young. They were very young. That's all. It wasn't meant in a demeaning fashion. But this is what we are talking about. When you guys twist the words, to try to bring all this country Congo thing, that come on, people. But concerning the justice, the hopefully new Chief Justice, I think there are certain things that the people will be looking for. For example, her husband Edwin Snow has stated that he's supporting the president, and he has been picked to be the campaign manager for the CDC going into 2023. Is that a position that he should stay with, knowing that his wife is going to be Chief Justice? Or maybe he should recuse himself of that. You can still support the president, but do you want to lead his campaign, knowing your wife is going to be Chief Justice? It's a question that he is going to have to reflect on, and and make a decision. But I think such things. You're muted, Jimmy. But I think such things are important to bring that confidence. It'll be a good confidence booster.
But Mr. Padmo, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but is Edwin a sedition?
No, he's
actually independent now. He's
as an independent.
Yeah, so how can he lead this CDC campaign?
He's independent. He can go. He can work with anybody.
You don't have to be a member of CDC to run the campaign of CDC, but he's a very effective communicator. He's a seasoned politician. I think Edwin Slow running the CDC campaign will be a plus for the CDC. I'll tell you that right now. And I think if he recuses himself, I think it'll be a plus for the opposition. I'm just saying it out there, being totally honest with you. But when your wife has been selected or is perched to be selected as the Chief Justice, do you really want to campaign for the president, knowing very well that things might end up in court? You might have to recuse yourself a little bit and remain independent. But that's where we are. Thank you guys for the spirited debate. And hopefully next week we'll be back for another great time. I look forward to it.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We like we are saying here, it is very important for Liberia to have a strong second party. The opposition have to be strong and united. That will sharpen our distinction, that will sharpen our politics, and there will be competition. And where there is competition, there's always progress. So we shouldn't see this as do or die. It should be about ideals. And hopefully we are getting there, because I can see the debate. It is not the regular debate that even the verbiage that people used to use on these shows, where they go out there, obviously not our platform, because we are a little different. But prior to us, when you went onto some of these people are actually being so graphic and so derogatory toward each other. They didn't care. They were equal opportunity abusers. They were abusing women, girls. I mean, your wife, your children. I mean, we have graduated to another level. So we appreciate that. And for the opposition, I'm hoping that they will seize this movement. The ambassadors that seize the movement. I would believe and I hope that they seize the movement to put together a blueprint, and not say, when we get elected, a blueprint that would tell the Liberian people in the world that, listen, when we take over, these are the things we're going to do in healthcare, and this is how we're going to do it. And these are the people we are depending on to do it. And based on their track record, we know they will do well. We're going to do this with education. These are the folks. This is how we're going to do it. We have a cadre of hard workers, educated, experienced people on the ground. They just need a little help here and there. And these are the team that will take them there. This is the methodology we're going to use. This is what we call best practice. It has been done in Ireland, in India, and other places in Africa. It's going to work here. You got to get Ellie Johnson some credit when she brought what the name of the school is, that the high school or the private school. I can't hear you.
I just don't remember that name, but I remember.
Right. Yes, where they privatize some of the schools in the villages, and those people that were using technology, and they are doing very well. Those are us that criticize them because we thought they were taking money from the government coffer. They are doing very well in the interior. So where there is competition, good things happen. We need to look at that and we want the opposition to seize the moment, to say, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, and this is how much it's going to cost. And for the first year, ladies and gentlemen, like Eddie used to say, let's tie our belt, because it's going to be tough. But after we tie our belt for 36 months, which is 3 years, things are going to happen. This is going to be our measuring tool, and we're going to do this. This is where we want the competition to be. And it doesn't matter who has it. If it's working, like one terrorist used to say, everybody loves to ride a winning horse.
That's right.
If that horse is winning and the people are going to school and we got our roads. If I have everything in Monrovia, if I have something similar in Yekepa, why would I want to come to Monrovia every day? People born in Florida don't go to Washington, D.C. because everything in Washington, D.C. is right here in Florida. Same thing, you go to Minnesota, people born in Minnesota care less about Washington, D.C. because they have everything there. This is where we want to be.
Yeah,
we pray that collectively, whoever wins, you support that person. You cannot say, well, Alexander Cummings won, so I'm not going there till his term expires. You're not doing it to Alexander Cummings, you're doing it to yourself, because you are adding 6 more years to your life and you are sitting somewhere. President Weah. I know people who didn't like Ellen, and they never went to Liberia for 12 years. And President Weah is there, and they are not satisfied, and they're still here. So you are adding 18 years when you were 50. Now you're going to be 68 in 2023. Your life is over.
Yep.
Go and make your impact. Doesn't matter who is the president in Liberia. Go there, do your thing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. As we always say, whether you like us or you hate us, we are all Liberians. So we'll go out with our song. We are all Liberians. We'll see you next Sunday, same time.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our